Welcome to the Neo News Today podcast. I'm your host, Dylan of Neo News Today. In episode 54 of the NNT pod, I sat down and spoke with Vladimir Tomko, the CEO and co-founder of Blockchain Cuties. Blockchain Cuties is a protocol-agnostic blockchain collectible adventure game, which is currently running on top of 5 different blockchains. In this episode, Vladimir and I talked about current and future gameplay of Blockchain Cuties, why the team chose to build on Neo in 2019, impacts on in-game economic models, being an NFT-based project in 2018 versus 2021, how the Neo N3 upgrade will impact the project, and much more. So I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation with Vladimir as much as I enjoyed having it. Hey guys, what's going on? Dylan with Neo News Today. Today we are speaking with the CEO and co-founder of Blockchain Cuties, Vladimir Tomko. How are you doing today, Vladimir?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Hi guys.
I'm really excited to have you on the podcast because we've been covering Blockchain Cuties for quite some time here at Neo News Today. But before we kind of go into that, I do just want to pick your brain a little bit, since some of our listeners might not have ever heard of Blockchain Cuties or used it before. Could you just share with us what Blockchain Cuties is?
Sure. In a nutshell, it's a crypto collectible game that works with different kind of pets like cats, dogs, lizards. We have like around 8 species right now. And person who plays the game, he gets to collect them, to send them into battles against other cuties. And each cutie is an NFT asset, ERC721 compatible on different blockchains, right now on 5 blockchains. And those assets, they can level up like your regular heroes in RPG games. But in regular RPG games, you have like one hero. If it's like a party RPG, like old school, like Icewind Dale or Baldur's Gate, you have like 6 of them. But in Blockchain Cuties, you have like thousands of them if you wish, or you can have like 6 of them. And basically, you like create an army, a kingdom of cuties, and you try to farm different locations for items. And each cutie is pretty unique. It's based on genome, and the genome defines how it looks. If you crack the correct gene sequence, then you get a tribute cutie that looks very differently, and that is usually based on some kind of pet celebrity like Grumpy Cat or Doge. And additionally, there are unique heroes, unique cuties. They cannot be bred, but they look very, very unique. So, and we base them, take inspiration from popular movies, popular games. We don't break the law and don't break copyrights, but there is like a resemblance, a clear resemblance in majority of cases, but they're still like cats, dogs, and so on. And we are the only game on the market that allows people to order their own custom cutie. For example, if you want yourself to be part of the world, then our artists can do that for a fee. And majority of our loyal community members all have their own custom cuties.
Yeah, I remember that Blockchain Cuties launched on the Neo blockchain in 2019. But that's not the first blockchain that Cuties is able to run on top of. So could you just share what 5 blockchains that you're able to purchase and store Cuties on right now?
Sure. So we started with Ethereum because it was the only blockchain that supported smart contracts back then. Then in late 2018, we decided to go to EOS because they released the same, not same, but similar functionality. And it was like the first time where we thought, and we didn't have any experience, that if we go without trying to do proper business development before that and trying to partner with some kind of EOS ecosystem partners, we thought that we could get a lot of traffic and become very popular on EOS, but it wasn't the case. So we learned from our mistakes. And then we released on Tron, already having the first party support. And while we did that, we already started speaking with Neo. I think it was in October 2018 where our communication started. And then by summer 2019, we were able to create a version of the game for Neo, and we launched on Neo with the support of you guys, which was very good. We did like a pre-sale. We did a lot of specifically Neo-based heroes that are inspired by Matrix, inspired by some kind of popular Chinese characters, and inspired by Free City of Zion. And we also, I think we did a lot of different popular Neo persons. We did Da Hongfei, we did Eric Zhang, we did Community Vote, which was Kenesin, I think. Yeah. And we also did one cutie for Neo News. I think it was you.
No, yeah. It was Dean, the founder of Neo News.
It was Dean. It was Dean. Yeah.
with the cat on his shoulder.
Yeah, with a cat on his shoulder. Yeah. So, and afterwards, so Neo was the fourth blockchain, and in summer 2020 we also launched on Matic. But at that time, we understood that it takes a lot of development power to support each update on 5 blockchains. So we decided that we will cease onboarding more new blockchains back then, because each new feature took 5 times more time to release a feature. We also are thinking about doing future integrations with some popular blockchains, but right now we try to develop the partnerships with existing blockchains that we have, like with you guys, with Matic. So I know you are planning to release Neo version 3 very soon. It's not out yet, but we're also looking to support that when it comes out. And because from the very beginning, we understood that crypto community back then, and basically right now it's the same, is pretty tribal. So there are people who are shilling for one particular blockchain but don't like another one. For example, some people are not fond of Justin Sun's blockchain. Besides its technical possibilities, it's pretty fast. It's technically very good, but Justin Sun's personality is controversial for some people, so they don't play on Tron. But some people are for Justin Sun, and we decided to capitalize on that and create a very, very big update, which is in the works. It took us a lot of time to get where we are right now, but it's going to change the game to a strategy game, massive multiplayer online strategy game, and blockchains will be presented as kingdoms. So you will be able to basically conquer territory, and each blockchain is going to have its not national, but how to call it in English? They're going to have their own timeline and their own sort of folklore line. So Neo will be based on ancient Asian region, like ancient China, ancient Korea, ancient medieval Japan, and and because the world itself, it's it doesn't care that the times collide. So people with Asian Chinese source will be able to slice tanks and modern planes and so on. So there's going to be magic there, and we have each blockchain represented as a separate technologically and cultural piece of Qtland's history. So Ethereum is sort of modern day United States, United Kingdom. Tron is futuristic empire, like Star Wars, Sith, Tron movies, something like that. EOS is fantasy medieval kingdom, knights, wizards. Matic is also a little bit futuristic, but because it's it started out as a sidechain of Ethereum, it is tied to that timeline. I think that's it. That's 5 different blockchains described.
That's a really cool sort of direction that you're taking the platform, especially leaning into this tribalism that the blockchain communities have right now. And historically I've viewed that as kind of negative, but I think that what you're doing with Blockchain Cuties is kind of making light of the fact that there still are these factions. So I wanted to pick your brain. In 2018-19, it wasn't just Neo. There were a lot of other public blockchains. So back then, what attracted you to porting Blockchain Cuties onto Neo?
The speed and the ability to do free transactions for the players, because Neo had like this limit. I think it was if it's like less than 10 gas or something like that, it's free. So, and back then we didn't have these problems with gas on Ethereum as we have right now, but people, they don't like to pay if they don't have to. So that's why Neo was on the table at the very beginning, because it's like people's blockchain, and we care for our players. Even when we released Ethereum first version, we of course studied what CryptoKitties have done before us, and we tried to optimize their code so that the transaction fees were less. And that's why Neo blockchain was, from that perspective, very akin to what we value. And the second important thing is that we try, because we didn't have at that time a very dominating geo of players. So right now we have, it's majority of people play from United States. But back then we had like all kind of regions represented, and we wanted to have like a doorway to the regions where we don't have direct access to. And we thought like that Neo was big in China, it was big in South America, and we didn't have like direct access there. So we wanted to work with Neo as like on a partnership basis, and I think it brought us some people, definitely. And it still does. So new players come and new players stay.
So I wanted to ask you what, maybe this is a level 101 question, or maybe your users would know this answer, but just to help the Neo News Today listeners understand a little bit better. If I own a blockchain cutie on Neo, does that mean I can trade that, or there's an asset that is similarly represented on another blockchain? So if I have like a Fabio QD on the Neo blockchain, can I send that to Ethereum and it'll be represented as an ERC-721?
No, there are some assets that are tied directly to specific blockchains, and like founder assets like Fabio, it's Neo only, because it is like it was part of the Neo pre-sale there. But we have cuties, unique cuties that are available on all 5 blockchains or like on 3 of them. So we do have very, very different assets. So some are very unique to specific blockchains, some are not.
Very cool. So you did mention that you're shifting to this new MMORPG sort of style game. So could you just share a little bit about what the progression has been like from where you saw Blockchain Cuties when you first launched it, and how over time you've progressed into offering this new in-game activity?
Sure. It is still in development, so people can't play it. We actually only, I think, like 20 days ago showed in our podcast how it looks like. So what's the current state of development? But when we first decided to make a blockchain game, it was a market a lot wilder than it is today, because back then only one game had a commercial success. It was CryptoKitties, and it was the only game that we knew people dig into. My background even back then was from gaming, and my general expertise are strategy games, and not only mine. So the team has experience in making strategy games, browser strategy games, but we didn't know whether it would work or not. So at the very beginning, we decided to start with something that we could later on turn into a strategy game, and we did so. But as the game of that type was like totally new economy that in theory people knew how it worked, but like in reality they didn't. So we had to face with reality. We did face a lot of issues, a lot of mistakes were made, and we understood that the most important game in a blockchain project is economy. If you somehow screw up your economy, then it will die off within like a year and people will leave your game. So we had a plan that would allow us to introduce this Wars of Qt a lot earlier than we thought, but we had like 2019 was very rough in terms of hits that our economy took. So in summer, a little bit later than we launched Neo, we understood that there is like a very big and growing discrepancy between people who are rich and can buy a lot of stuff and people who like play casually. And the third season that we introduced gradually increased this discrepancy, and we didn't have tools ready to reduce it and to take control of the market. And we have two types of markets in the game: the NFT markets, those are like the cuties themselves, the characters, and those markets are tied to blockchain. So if you play on Ethereum, you can trade your assets only on Ethereum. If you play on Neo, then you can do it only on Neo. And then we have item market, and items are server entities that transact through the blockchain. So they are not tied to blockchain directly. It means that you can play on Tron, get a lot of items, then go to the market, see like there's demand on Neo, create a Neo account, so you would be able to land those money in and sell it to people on Neo. So that second market that deals with items, it got oversaturated. The value started to decrease, and we entered 2020 with a big task to improve the economy. Because if you've been watching closely to the space, you probably know that like 99% of the first wave of crypto games died off. So there are like only CryptoKitties, us, Axie Infinity, and some like one or two additional games left that were released at the early 2018. We decided that we don't want to die off, so we tried to fix that, and we spent majority of the last year to fix it, and we did fix that. So the economy is okay right now. But while we were fixing that, we didn't pay much attention to development of Wars of Qt update. There was like a big pause there. So not pause, it was like slowly development. There were like very few people doing that. And of course, our community were not very happy about that because they awaited it in Q3 2020. And only like recently we showed the progress. But the progress was like received happily. People liked very much what we showed them. And hopefully we are able to give some kind of like closed alpha access this year so they can play with their cities, see how their cuties perform in armies, and so on and so on.
Well, it sounds like that's going to be the perfect opportunity for you to integrate your experience and your expertise as a strategic game developer. You did touch on something that I wanted to highlight during this conversation, and Blockchain Cuties is the longest running NFT platform that we've covered at Neo News today. It's an NFT game that has survived the bear market and the bull market. So I just wanted to kind of take a step back and kind of just hear your perspective on non-fungible tokens in general. What has it been like to work on a non-fungible token project through the bear market in 2018 and 2019, then make it through 2020, along with like the difficulties that you've had with implementing these updates to the game, and then finally seeing what happened earlier this year, where we're seeing like people selling, artwork for millions of dollars and just this NFT craze. So kind of what was it like in 2018 and 19? And then what's it like today? And what are the major differences that you've noticed?
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts on that one because we had a very different perspective than majority of the teams out there, as you said, and even the craze of the beginning of this year, like we wrote it differently. So in 2018, it was very hard, especially when Ethereum was like around $100-something, because back then majority of the games were on Ethereum, and we were working in big minus back then. We had we had an investor, so we were burning a lot more than we earned. And the whole notion of riding the non-existing wave after the crash of the market, and when people were like very disappointed about the fact that they've put a lot of money into crypto and now it costs nothing, it was pretty hard. So we were able to attract like a lot of people into the funnel, but even after registration, not many converted. And they understood that NFTs are nice, that they can make money by playing the game, but it was such a minimum compared to the craze of 2017 that not a lot of people thought that it's a good idea. CryptoKitties weren't doing that good back then. And if you remember, at the very beginning, not at the very beginning, the whole 2018, there were a lot of hot potato games, like games that exist for like 2 weeks. They gain a lot of money, then some people lose money. And they didn't do with NFTs, but they were also called crypto games. And they didn't help us to make money and didn't help any other legit games out there. So that was a problem. People were afraid that they would lose their money. Then it was very hard to bring in new users because if I recall correctly, in April, Twitter, Google, and Facebook banned crypto ads. And at the beginning of the road, we decided to base our strategy on regular user acquisition through Facebook and Google, and that didn't work out completely. So it was pretty hard. We thought that people would care for NFTs for standard. They would check the tokens in blockchain, and that was true in March and in April, and afterwards people didn't care at all. So even if you didn't have NFTs, and there were there were some games back in 2018 that positioned themselves as blockchain games, as NFTs, but everything was on server. So people didn't dive deep into it. But the standard itself was very good. And I remember all the conferences where we talked about the digital identities that you would have in the future as NFTs, that you would be able to truly own things. And at some point there's going to be interoperability, despite the fact that not even now it's not possible on technical level without the agreement of different parties. But back then people were speaking about that, and it didn't happen. So 2019 was sort of better, but we thought that we need to survive this sort of crypto winter, because people need to forget that they lost a lot of money on crypto. And in 2019, a lot of new blood joined the market. They didn't change the notion of NFTs at all. In global, it didn't change since the inception, since CryptoPunks. And even now, people speak completely the same things as we did in 2018. They just they didn't know us. They didn't go to the same conferences. So right now I'm hearing completely the same things. But in general, here, nothing's changed except the fact that right now the craze is about NFTs. And as usual, if you're good at marketing, if you have influencers, if you're a celebrity yourself, there is a bigger chance that you would create this demand, this delusional effect that you want this particular NFT. But all in all, it's basically the same thing as it was with CryptoPunks. It's part of the history. It's yours. Well, technically, it's not even true. You hold the index on your wallet. It's not yours. It's a smart contract. But the only thing that is different right now, comparing to 2018, is that people are a lot eager to try and trade them. And there is like an aha moment in crypto, which people who play regular games don't understand until they meet it. It's when you sell something and you receive liquid asset, you don't believe it. But the feeling that you have, it's like very positive, very high feeling, and then you understand that, hey, it's the future. And it was a lot harder to create these experiences back then than it is right now. And right now a lot more people has touched it, and there's like a network effect because they speak about it. So they sort of think they understand the value. But if we look at the market, the majority of NFTs out there, they don't hold any value, so there's no utility. It's basically just a collectible thing, and the only value is its rareness and its attribution to some kind of object, like to some kind of artist. If it's like a real genius work of art, sure. But if you try to like put it and then some kind of like paste it into blockchain ecosystem and try to work for you, very few projects offer that. So in that regard, nothing's changed. But there are a lot of like shades of gray right now of how you sell it. And right now, everybody tries to sell NFTs. And what's very interesting is that it is easier to sell NFTs if it doesn't have any feasible utility. This is what we learned the hard way. Because if you have something, people can measure it, they can discuss it, they can try to value whether it is needed for them or not. But if it's nothing, it's just like picture, then it is a lot easier to create an emotional purchase and try to shield for it emotionally as well. So what we during that whole like 3-year stage learned is that utility is actually like not helping to create NFTs, because it's something very like objective. And when you try to sell, you need to create a very subjective feeling. If it's beautiful, it needs to be beautiful for you and like for your friends. But if you see that it has some like battle stats and you understand that this asset is very beautiful, but it's not very effective, then it just derives its value, drives it down. But this is something that is embedded into our game. So it's harder for us to try to create this like two types of assets. One is for collectors, one is for effective gameplay. And we still didn't find this perfect balance. We have a lot of experiments in mind. We will roll them out slowly, but it hurts us in terms of revenue, because all our assets have some sort of utility.
That's a really interesting sort of thought line that you brought up, that a lot of people who are purchasing NFTs today are doing it just simply because of the beauty behind the NFT. Now, Neo, we spoke about this earlier. Neo's upgrading to version 3, Neo 3, N3. And this is going to have an impact on Blockchain Cuties, because you're going to have to migrate all your code from the old Neo.
It's going
legacy.
to have a huge impact, because Neo, together with Bitcoin right now, I think is one of the few popular blockchains that use DXO. And so you need to calculate the balance every single transaction. And all other blockchains, like they don't have it. And Neo free version would not have it as well. So we'll have to sort of completely rewrite everything.
So beyond the removal of the UTXOs, are there any other aspects of N3 that you and your team are looking at? There's going to be a decentralized file storage service that's native with the Neo network. And arguably, we can't say today that NFTs are wholly decentralized, because while the hash might be on a blockchain, the sourced image is probably stored on a central server like AWS somewhere. So are you guys looking into integrating NeoFS as a distributed file storage? And if so, could you tell us how? Or if not, could you just share a little bit more about, other than the UTXO model, how you guys are viewing N3 and what you guys might integrate with the new blockchain?
because I worked in several big companies in the past, and they were like tied with games and social networks, we had like a very healthy experiment system there on how things should like roll out. And I think it would be great if we work with Neo on the same basis. So basically, you have a big following, you have great infrastructural resources, and you think that the new feature that you introduce will somehow change the world, will be beneficial to your users, and so on. We think that too, but the market will be the judge. So how it should be done is basically we should need like joint experiment. So we, for example, support you in that regard. We will assess how much time we need to support that feature, and then we roll it out. You help us with marketing. We try to spread the news in the world about why it's important. If it works, we should expand on that and try to bring on board more developers. If it's if market doesn't dig it, then we need to change direction, change strategy, and try out something new. So in that regard, we are interested in that, but because we support 5 different blockchains, we will need to assess when we are able to introduce it, because right now we don't have a very big team and we are hiring, but we also have 2 like big things that we need to deliver before that. That is the BCUG, our like governance token functionalities. And the third part will probably be rolled out today or this week, but probably today. And then till the mid of the summer, we have a pipeline of those updates. And we also need to introduce a lot of things in regards to Words of Cutieland, that MMO strategy game, because the community, our community, is waiting for it like strongly. So those are our priorities. And after that, we probably will start diving deeper into our partnerships and try to implement newer features. But what's important is that when we roll out the governance, people will be able to vote for the things that we do. And we plan to do it this way. So once every 3 sprints, so every 4th sprint, we will have a community sprint where people will choose the tasks from our public backlog, and they will vote what they want us to develop. If they vote like for Neo, then we will have to do that. So, I mean, not Neo, but decentralized data storage.
Vladimir, I had so many other questions that I wanted to get to today, but I'm cognizant of your time, and I just want to thank you so much for coming on to the Neo News Today podcast to share a lot about what you guys have been working on. I personally am very excited to see that not only did Blockchain Cuties survive the bear market, but there's going to be all sorts of new in-game functionality. And I personally am a little bit excited about the MMORPG. So you might have a new gamer on your network once that rolls out.
Great, thanks, Dylan. And additionally, what I want to tell, like right now, and it's like Neo related, right now, because of all the prices and all the like projects, except like Matic and you guys, tidying up the belt, we have majority of new players want to try out Neo because it's free for them to play. And this is just what happens like within the community. When new players come in, they join the Telegram group or Discord and ask where to play. Existing players are like money savvy, and they advise to play on Neo.
Awesome. Well, I'm super happy to have seen Blockchain Cuties continue supporting Neo historically and to continue supporting Neo in the future. And I definitely look forward to having you again come back as a guest on the Neo News Today podcast, so we can talk about, you know, all the great things that have happened, hopefully in the next year.
Hopefully so. Maybe even faster. When Neo Free releases, I would definitely love to join your podcast at least one more time.
Very cool. Well, we look forward to having you again as a guest. And I just want to thank you one more time, Vladimir, for joining and sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me, Dylan.
Cheers.
Thanks, Neo community. Cheers.
Well, what did you think of that conversation? It was fascinating to learn more about the similarities and differences between the bear market of 2018 and 19 and the recent bull market and NFT craze we witnessed earlier in 2021. It was also interesting to hear Vladimir talk about the two different marketplaces in Blockchain Cuties and how they each have their own unique economies. And I enjoyed learning more about the upcoming MMORPG gaming elements that will be implemented into Blockchain Cuties. To keep up to date with the latest in the Neo ecosystem, visit www.neonewstoday.com. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify, and leave a 5-star review if you feel that others should hear our content. Every subscription and review helps others learn more about the Neo News Today podcast and the Neo ecosystem. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Neo News Today podcast, and we look forward to catching you next time.